Hey, I'm Gerald. This is Terry. This is Shane. We're three brothers together. Well, we're going to start building some gates, decorative gates, to go with our fence. We were using farm gates, and the farm gates just done nothing for the fence. The fence was just too powerful for the farm gates. So now we're going to build some wood gates, and this right here is a little drawing I've made up. I'd like a sweep here, and at this point it'll be 4 foot and 6 inches from the bottom to here and 39 inches here, which will allow for the 4 boards. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we want to put a sweep down to nothing right to the end of it and add some spindles in there just to make it decorative. Then we paint that all white. So this is a little bit of an enterprise on thinking skills. And generally when I have something like this to do, I have to get started, and I kindly I'll add to and take away as I go, depending. So I know what my length has to be. It has to be 93 inches here, 4 foot 6 inches from top to bottom here, and 39 inches here. And I've drawn a little ball cap right there. I think it's going to do a lot for it out on the end. So creating this sweep on 93 inches shouldn't be too much of a problem, I don't think. So we're going to start this by building up the board fence itself, the rectangle here. And we're going to do a right and a left. And then we'll proceed, after we get these done, if it pleases this lady, we'll build 2 more for the other gate opening. So we'll get started with that now. I've got my 2 gates laid out here. This is my 2 back rails, 2 front ones, or stiles rather. And I've got it laid out for a 1x6, and then skip out the width of a 1x6, and then another 1x6. So every other one of these is a piece of 5 3/4. And this is something that you might ought to know. Pressure treated 1x6 can range between 5.5 and 5 7/8. So you need to check what you've got before you start this. Are you going to miss the mark about 1.5 inches or 2 inches or so? That extra 3/8 of an inch adds up as you come along. So we're going to proceed here. My length has to be for each one of these 2 boards to butt into this. And they're going to butt in to the ends of these. I have to decide where those have to go as I go along. So generally I try to put my 2 boards right in the center. And that's what I'm going to try to do here, is to keep it all in the center. Except for the top. At the top I want to start at the bottom, because I'm going to be adding some decorative stuff at the top of this gate. And I want to leave room to add those stuff in without having to add extra cleats. Okay, well, first time to build a decorative gate. I've never built one of these before. But like all things in carpentry, anything else that you do, it's all transferable knowledge. I just want to make sure that my fence or my gate matches my fence so far. All right, we'll get started. All right, what we're going to do, since we've got this, we've not squared or nothing else. All we're going to do is just get both. You might call this the skeleton frame of our gate. We're going to get this frame laid out the same, both of them at the same time. And we're going to do each step both at the same time. So, right now we're working on just getting our pieces in, getting them all attached at the right points, and we're going to continue. Take what remaining 2x4s we've got here, acts as our skeleton frame. We're going to put those together. Yo! Now we need to square our gates up. Now we can take the frame and square and get roughly. By putting the frame and square over the outside of this member right here and parallel with this member, it says we're square. Now I've checked it on both sides. It's saying it's square on both ends here. So I'm going to go to this end and I check it again. And it says we're square here. So, just to make sure, we're going to measure diagonally across this. And we're measuring 102 inches and an eighth. And 102 inches, so we're square. Okay, we have to have some lateral bracing, which means it goes on diagonally. We need a diagonal brace in these gates to help support that weight, keep the gate from drifting down over time. So we're going to use some 5 1/4 board here, which is going to be fine for our purposes. Well, I've been marking for 2x4, and it's about an 1 3/8 top bottom, thereabouts. That's so that we can get our 1-inch screws staggered throughout this board here to keep it from cupping. And also where our lateral braces comes down to help hold our gate, that gives you a little cleat to attach that in there, and you'll still be able to see here as we start assembling how this helps us. So we'll get started here and put this one on and continue to put on the rest. putting a sweep on top of this gate. In order to get that, we first get this slope 412, or about 20 degrees, using square. So that is exactly 15, 16, 17, 18 degrees of slope. That gives us the proper sweep. Now we're going to add spindles, these little fellas. We cut them to fit, put them on 5-inch centers, and they're going to follow through all the way down to right there, where they're going to kind of disappear. Then we'll add a little spacer in here to take care of that spot there, which we'll have to cut with a saber saw. But this is going to make this gate really decorative. We're going to come back and we're going to put this same size, 5.5 inches wide board up right here to make our placards. And we'll do the same thing to the end. And when these gates are all done, they'll be ready to hang. Now, when you're building out of pressure treated materials, it's going to be heavy. So it's going to take some time for this to dry out and to cure, because all of this is very wet right now. So we're going to get this sweep on 3 of our gates. We come up this a little bit short on materials, and so we got one that we're not going to be able to finish today. So we're going to get this all done, and hopefully next week we'll finish up the other one and try to hang a pair of these. I'm simply getting my length here, 95 1/8, and making a mark here. I've cut a 412 pitch or slope on the other end, and I'm going to cut that off right there. That'll get our length. We want all of our gates to be the same, so we cut this off. I'm ripping this out 2.5 inches wide, out of the same material as the fence. I have measured 5.5 inches over to fill in these gaps here for my placard. We're going to put those on, and then we'll start putting our 2x2s on, and we've just come out through here from the end of that 5 inches, over 5. And we're going to center up on 5 inches. I could probably put them a little closer than that, but I think that that's going to be fine. It's going to be plenty thick enough. When I get my placard on, that's going to be evenly spaced out through here, and adds a lot of detail to this fence, which would normally just be a rectangle. And so we have added some distinction to it, a little bit of class, and I think everybody that sees it's going to be pleased with it. Well, me and brother are going to sand these. We've not made a decision on whether or not we're going to use any wood putty, simply because this is an outside fixture. And it's really difficult to find a putty for an outside fixture that don't dimple, shrink, crack, expand. It's just tough to find, and rarely can you find it. These gates are a little green yet. In other words, they're a little wet. We're going to sand them just to get rid of some fuzz that's going to show in our paint. I don't want them all fuzzy. I'd like to have them pretty smooth because they're going to be handled a lot. Even with a solar opener, I still don't want them fuzzed up. Those are going to be the first thing that people see when they pull up to this residence, and I want them to look good. In most every situation, if you do good work, or at least the best that you know to do, people do not ask the question, how much did it cost? They want to know who. Just remember that. Your work, my dad said, was a plain portrait of who you are. So we'll get started sanding these. Pretty good day. It's better than sitting at home. If you enjoyed any of this, if you're learning anything, subscribe. Like our channel.
Like.
That's right, like. And
Like.
share it with your friends. Share.
Share. All your friends.
Even on Facebook.
Yes. So, that'll make us happy, and we can afford meal for cornbread and fire for our stove. We appreciate you. We'll see you guys.